Hello WBP Star, my name is Chef Ellitsgaard and I'm gonna cook a signature dish for you here at under 5.5 meter below sea level. And the langoustine, I think that the best size is between 21 to 24 centimeter if you go from the tail to the nose. That's where I think that the flavor and the texture is the best. I think that if you get them too big, like over 25 centimeter, I think that the texture is getting too rough and also it's not so sweet as I prefer. And if it's too small, it's much sweeter. So I think that 21 to 24 centimeter is the best size. We have a fishing boat that's going to fish them for us just out here, and we also storage them in a live storage facilities, because I have an idea that often that you get langoustine into the restaurants, sometimes they can be mushy in texture and soft in the meat, and many chefs they have to like throw a lot of it because they cannot really use it because it's spoiled. But by putting the langoustine in a quarantine for 2 weeks, they will come back in shape again, and then you will have almost all of them will be perfect when you get them to your restaurant. There will not be a lot of mushy or destroyed ones. And this is something that I discovered myself by testing out for 2 years. I tried to keep track on all the langoustines that we get into the restaurant, sizes, when they were caught, how long have they been in the live storage facilities, and all these things. And my conclusion is that if you get them directly from the boat, they are simply too stressed many times. So that's why we like to have them in this quarantine for 2 weeks. When we clean the langoustine, this one, you know, it have been relaxing in the fridge now since yesterday. So it's not like crazy moving a lot, but we take it here just to kill it. We don't go all the way. Now it moves a little bit, still it's the nerves. Then when I take off the tail, I kind of pull it in both directions, and then I turn at the same time. Go in here. And by this you get all this nice meat out. So when you clean it, you will get a much more beautiful fillets out here, instead of having like half of this still sitting here. Then we take the claws. The claws we're gonna use for another dish. And here's one of the important things for this dish. So I take away the foots here, a lot of intestines and the gills, they are not nice to eat. And then what we have inside here, many people think it's the brain, but actually it's the liver of the langoustine. The langoustine is living in so deep water, so it has a huge liver. The brain of a langoustine is just a small little thing that's connected to a lot of strings that's going in the entire body of the langoustine actually. So this is the liver. The liver we are using for the sauce. So how we make this sauce is that we're gonna take this one, we put a little bit of oil, then we put it in a gas tray in the oven, 160 for a couple of minutes. Then we take it out, scrape out the liver and blitz it together with some plum that we have pickled. And when it's in season, we do a lot of fermentations and picklings, because we are in Norway. There's not much coming up on the ground from the ground in the winter season, so we have to preserve a lot, because I prefer to use only ingredients from Norway. So this one we just pickle in a simple 1-1-1 liquid. This is a plum called Victoria plum. Then we have chive flowers. That's for later when we're gonna plate the dish. Chive flower that we put in a salt brine. The glaze I'm using when we are barbecuing the langoustine is a glaze that's made out of fermented honey. Then a puree made out of the pickled plums. Then we have some langoustine stock and some oil of langoustine. Then we mix all these four together. We boil it down till we get this nice texture here. Actually we boil these three and then we add the oil at the end. So we get this nice glaze. So here we put the glaze on the langoustine. And it's important that we get on all the skin. I don't want to put here on the white parts of the meat. I want to keep that as clean as possible. I always press a little bit here so that it gets like kind of stuck to the griddle, so we get a nice caramelization, burnish on all the langoustine. Then I put a little bit of glaze here just to moisture. Just give it a little bit more glaze. That's it. So here, before we put the langoustine on the barbecue, we're gonna glaze it. And it's important to put glaze all over the skin and try not to put glaze on the nice fillets. Then we put it on the barbecue. I press it a little bit just so we get it nicely attached to the griddle, so we get a nice caramelization. And then I give it a little bit of glaze here just to moist it so it doesn't dry out. Take it out here because the tail part is nice caramelized now. I saw that when I turned it really fast, so we just give it a little bit more up here before we turn it. There we go. For the sauce that we do for the langoustine, we have cream. We just reduce it a little bit, and then we add the plum and langoustine head mixture. Thank you. A little bit of vinegar. It always needs a little bit of plum vinegar. Salt. Thank you. Then we just heat it up. We don't want to cook it too much. Just want to heat it up. A little bit more cream so we get a nice texture. And then we are ready to go. So the chive flowers, I take them up from the the jar. Then we just cut them so we get the nice buds. Take the langoustine. Then we just place chive flowers and put them like one by one so they don't really touch each other too much. And then at the end we pour the sauce.